Society to the merge, Bishop Ford 12. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. AM 560 Weather Center forecast with our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Partly sunny, breezy today, high 85. Tonight, partly cloudy, low 69. And then partly sunny, breezy tomorrow, the high 87. Sunny to partly cloudy Saturday, the high 88. Plan with confidence this spring. Download the AccuWeather app today. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
67 at O'Hare. Next news coming up at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
From the Matrix Home Solutions studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 The Answer online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, and on TuneIn, iHeart, and on Odyssey. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560 The Answer.
Good morning, Dan and Amy, and
Boiler up.
that's the Purdue fight song you're hearing. A little concerned about Mitch Daniels, former Indiana governor, current Purdue University president, because, in my mind, he's forever young. But I saw at the commencement address he delivered last weekend that he apparently has traded in his Harley for a motorized couch.
It's called a couch cart.
And I'm worried that
It's awesome.
That he's I'm worried that he's not
Wait.
driving his hog on the highways and byways of the Hoosier State anymore.
It's a great video. People should watch it. It's on YouTube. Just put in Mitch Daniels couch cart, and you can see the whole thing.
Mitch Daniels, president of Purdue, joins us now. Mitch, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I assume the two of you were standing and clapping as you're supposed to do when that song plays.
Of
Obviously.
course. Well, my parents both went to Purdue, so yes, I did.
Yeah, I remember it, but Amy, we're holding you a spot in the new class. I know that unlike your folks, you blew it on your first opportunity, but we'll take this when you're ready.
You might see my son, but we'll talk about that later.
So, and he needs a scholarship too. So if you can work on that. So what was with the motorized cart? What happened to the Harley?
Well, there are two stories there. The motorcycle story is a tragic one in the sense that the five Daniels women finally lobbied me into, after all these decades. It was one of those dad really conversations, and so I did sell the one and I donated the other. The State Museum had always wanted the one that was painted like the state flag. So for the first year since I was 20, I guess. I'm bikeless. Do
you at least still wear the chaps around campus?
Oh, will you stop?
Well,
Dan, that's a personal question.
Maybe not those, but I got some leather. That's true.
Okay.
The couch was a great thing. It just the typical Purdue ingenuity. A couple of our soon to be graduates this spring decided to make it. They just showed up moving around campus on it, became quite the sensation, and so I wanted to ride on it. And while doing so, we cooked up the idea of taking it to commencement. So I think it went over well.
Brilliant.
And your the overarching theme of the commencement address you deliver to the graduating class?
Was that we're looking to them, as we do all Purdue graduates, for leadership, and that leadership involves ultimately making choices, often hard ones, and that I suggested to them that they saw some great lessons, both positive and negative, this last year, of people in positions of responsibility, many of whom, in my opinion, failed their test, and to make choices, determine priorities, trade-offs where necessary, and that they would need the courage to do that. So that was the thought. We know they're leaving with the tools to make good decisions. The question will be whether they have the gumption and will to do it. And if you know anything about our graduates, I know they will.
Well, you were a pioneer, because I remember we had you on the show, and you were one of the first university presidents that said, we are going back to school in the fall. And did you get any heat for that?
Well, a lot of people disagreed. Of course, I've got a thick file from months and right now a year ago. People sometimes very, very hostile about it. I know they meant well, but we weren't trying to suggest anything to anybody else. All the reason that we came to our conclusion and then moved quickly was I could tell to do this to pull off under conditions of safety in resident education on a campus of more than 40,000 students was going to take every day to get ready. And so that was all. And we never preached to anybody. And those who shut down or something close to that, may have made the right decision for their own institutions. We don't judge.
And so the difference between common sense precautions and safetyism. I mean, I know that the discussion of risk that punctuated your commencement address. How concerned are you that the lines between those two approaches are being blurred?
Well, they often are, and we see this in other contexts. I use the phrase in the speech, the mad pursuit of zero. There is no zero. There is no perfect safety. There is no certainty. And so those who are, it's a natural human craving, but people who are entrusted with responsibility finally have to weigh all the possibilities. I mean, too often in this last year, people, and a lot of them got a lot of cheap applause for doing it, but pursuing one goal to the total exclusion of others. Namely, nobody was supposed to get the virus if that was to the extent that could be done, and meanwhile ignored enormous collateral damage to young children's education, to mental illness problems, to other health problems that went unattended, and of course the destruction of so many small businesses. And the message was, look, that's not leadership, that's abdication. And of course, when you make choices and assign priorities, someone will be disappointed, someone will be upset, and there will be heat. But if you're not interested in that, then let somebody else do the job.
Purdue University welcoming its largest freshman class ever this coming fall. To what do you attribute that, the heightened interest in Purdue by measure of the incoming class?
We know some things about it because we ask. We're getting used to this. This is the fourth record in the last 5 years. Last year was another one. Yes, we're going over 10,000 students for the first time in Purdue history. As far as I can tell, it'll be the biggest class in the whole Big Ten, which has not historically been our situation. By the way, I'm interested. I checked this morning. For the first time, we'll have over 1,000 students from Illinois in that class. It's always been
expect that to grow.
I run into Illinois kids all the time here. Last year there were more than 800, but we're welcoming over 1,000 this fall and excited about it. No, I mean one thing is we remain affordable. We have not raised tuition in 9 years and won't again next year, and so we know that's a factor. And honestly, I think that in some cases it appears that because we did find a way to help keep students moving ahead here, and during this last year when others made other choices, that seems to have been a factor for a number of the incoming students.
Well, at U of I, they had mandatory testing 3 days a week. Did you implement anything like that?
Yes, although not quite that much. We did intensive so-called surveillance testing, but it was only a percentage of the campus on a random basis every week. Obviously, we did the testing of everyone before they could come to campus, but then only intermittently after that. No, they had a great program over there, and it was a different approach, but I know very effective.
What about something else, too? I wonder if this registered on the survey of the incoming freshmen. The Degree in 3 program, the College of Arts offering the opportunity for students to complete their degree in 3 years.
Well, there's growing uptake of that. As you may know, Dan, the 4 years to get a bachelor's degree is pretty much an American convention, not the way in Europe it's typically 3, for instance. And so we want to make it possible. Now over 70% of all our degrees can be reached in 3 years if that's the student's choice. And getting through more quickly is, first of all, more affordable, and secondly, it gets a person out in the world earning an extra year of income, and that compounds over the course of time. So our average time to degree is now below 4 years, and one of our goals is to keep bringing that down. We don't obviously force anybody down that path, but we will have you basically can go to school here now year round, and that makes it possible to move a little more quickly if you want.
I love it. I mean, I think profiling it will help the parents to push some students along that schedule. What about the because you were sort of ahead of the learning curve with this too, income share agreements to make college more affordable, as well as also to make those post-college connections while in college. What's the status of income share agreements at Purdue?
Yeah, they've grown smartly, and we're trying to raise our third fund right now. The university puts up some of the money because we believe in standing behind our product, so to speak. But we're very strong on these as an option for students, as opposed to some of the more expensive borrowing they can do. As you know, in an income share agreement, there is no risk to the student. They're going to pay a percentage of their income, and only that. And so we view it as equity, not debt, and a nice alternative to some of the more expensive borrowing that goes on.
We were just talking before you joined us, advice for incoming college freshmen. This was a topic in the Wall Street Journal's Future View column this week, and so we're getting solicitations from callers, their advice for college freshmen, our advice. What would your advice? You gave advice to outgoing seniors last weekend. Advice to incoming freshmen at Purdue, or just generally? Obviously,
to take your studies seriously, to take courses that will challenge and test you, and stretch you in areas you haven't already learned much about. Also, very much to seek out faculty. By the way, this is something I didn't do and wish I had. We know that one of the most effective things that a young person can do on the way up is to be in interpersonal contact with people like great professors. So don't be bashful about that. Finally, see if you can get involved in some sort of research. Some more and more schools are making that possible. And that's another thing we have learned. Looking back, successful graduates have generally taken part in.
I just want to ask you about mandatory vaccinations. Are you going to be requiring that? And then are things going to be semi-normal in the fall where students can go to football games and there can be more events for the students?
Amy, we after debating it, we chose not to mandate, but we're strongly encouraging it. We administered 37,000 vaccinations before school broke at the end of last week. But we've left that choice open. And now, if you choose not to be vaccinated, then you'll go through the same sort of regular testing that we all did during this last year. But we left that choice open, although we will be strongly encouraging it. On your second question, we just have to wait and see. The higher the vaccination rate, the more open the campus can be. And obviously, we're all rooting for some sort of normalcy. Things look to be headed in a positive way, but we've all learned that viruses mutate and curves can reverse themselves. So we're taking it very carefully, as we did every day of last year.
Politicians mutate and reverse themselves too, so you got to watch out for that. Mitch Daniels, president of Purdue University, former governor of Indiana, of course. Mitch, thanks as always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
This is Jerry Boyer of Town Hall Finance for townhall.com. I recently participated in the annual shareholders meeting of AT&T. The Conservative Free Enterprise Project had attempted to place a proposal on the ballot this year which would allow shareholders, the owners of the company, to vote on whether the company should be required to disclose its charitable contributions. According to the conservative group Second Vote, AT&T has a history of giving to organizations which support abortion, something there's no moral case for and certainly no business case for either.